What's up gamers, Dreamcast Guy here, and it's Top 10 Thursday. Lately, I keep hearing rumors about a PlayStation 4.5, a new next-gen gaming console that supposedly can output video at 4K. Honestly, that sounds awesome, but right now, I'm still happy with my original PS4. In fact, I think that this is a console that has a lot of amazing hidden gems. Great titles that are fantastic, but overlooked. This week, I wanted to give them the credit they deserve on my picks of the top 10 PS4 hidden gems you should play. Number 10. Lords of the Fallen. There's not many stories that begin with the end of the world, and yet that's essentially where Lords of the Fallen starts off. Powerful demons are invading the land, and it's up to our dark hero to save the day. This is a very combat-heavy title, and every encounter is meant to be a real challenge. Though our character is extremely strong, patience is your greatest weapon. Each enemy can rip you in half if you make one wrong move, so gameplay is based around finding that perfect time to attack. For a normal monster, this may not be so bad, but when it comes time to face off against some massive bosses, things can get a lot more rough. This is one of those interesting games that has all the ingredients of a bestseller, but for some reason was completely forgotten. Number 9. Transformers Devastation. Okay, now before you say anything, yes, I know that most licensed games suck, but this one is different. Transformers Devastation was developed by the team over at Platinum Games, the same people who made Bayonetta. This might sound like an odd group to take on this franchise, but they surprisingly nailed it. Based on the 80s cartoon show, we're joining in on the infinite war between the Autobots and the Decepticons. It's time to choose a robot and jump into action, but you better choose wisely because each character has their own set of attacks, so different situations can be handled in a variety of styles. Personally, I like choosing a smaller character and really getting up close, using roll dodges to avoid major hits and land my own hard blows. The fighting in this game is just amazing. It's a system that's so fluid that it pushes you to keep upping the difficulty and improving yourself. Just be careful if you take on those special challenge maps. Number 8. Helldivers. I've always had a deep love for couch co-op games, titles where you can sit down with friends and just have a great time killing stuff together for hours. Helldivers was made for that kind of fun. In this, you take on the role of a space marine traveling to the most dangerous planets in the galaxy in an effort to defend Super Earth. Basically, it's Diablo with a few more aliens and a lot more machine guns. What I really like is that there's this constant self-aware humor to everything. Our soldiers will be calling in orbital drops on monsters while at the same time screaming out cheesy lines like, "Have a nice cup of liberty." The game even opens with a cutscene about defending truth and justice one bullet at a time. Don't let this lighthearted tone make you think this game is easy though. While the early levels can be completed solo, you can soon be overwhelmed by acid-spitting creatures on far-off worlds. It's best to grab some buddies, gear up, and unleash some democracy. Number 7. Zombie Army Trilogy. I think we can all agree that getting to assassinate Zombie Hitler would be epic. Well, good news, now you can. This game was originally designed to be DLC for the Sniper Elite series, but fans loved it so much they decided to make it a standalone item. We play as a lone soldier assigned the impossible mission of finding his way across undead-infested Germany and finding the source of the rotting plague. It's a job that's a lot more complicated than it sounds. The biggest problem is that while guns are plentiful, ammo is very scarce, so you better aim carefully because every bullet really counts. Honestly, the fear can almost be overwhelming at times, but it's totally worth it when you're able to pull off a flawless headshot and get that slow motion X-ray cam showing exactly where your bullet went. Being a sniper is awesome, however, getting to be a sniper during the complete downfall of society, now that's ultra awesome. Number 6. Rayman Legends. This franchise sits in an odd place because it's switched back and forth from 3D action game to 2D platformer several times over, but this latest entry is probably the best Rayman of all. Everything about this game is so unique. The hand-drawn art, the top-notch soundtrack, even the environments are brilliantly made. They managed to combine retro fun with modern design. The real highlight though is the puzzles that are cleverly built into every level and use each part of the controller in different ways. From using shoulder buttons to tilt platforms, to using the touchpad to search the map, or even just mastering the timing of punch combos for the running stages. Rayman Legends takes great gaming ideas, both old and new, and makes something that rocks even by today's standards. Number 5. Onechinbara Z2 Chaos. Have you ever dreamt of being a vampire samurai and getting to fight off evil legions of the undead? Then Onechinbara is the title for you. You might want to brace yourself because I'm about to explain the plot, and quite frankly, it's all over the place. There are two rival clans, the Banefuls and the Vampirics. One day they're forced to team up in order to stop the incoming invasion of zombies. How do they do this, you might ask? Well, with insane martial arts, of course. This game is pretty much a celebration of everything weird in Japanese culture. The bad guys make silly speeches, every kill is chained into a ridiculous combo, and all of the outfits are outright bonkers. Why is this person wearing a cowboy hat and a bikini while fighting for her life? I guess questions like that aren't really needed because really all that matters is the action, which there is tons of. Every minute of this game has you drowning in enemies and slashing them down to gain power as a full-time assignment, so keep your blades sharp and your wits sharper. Number 4. Axiom Verge. Nintendo seems to have left behind their once great Metroid series. Thankfully, instead of being sad about it, creative indie developers have stepped in to fill the gap. It doesn't take long to see the clear ties that this game has to that beloved franchise. While it may lack in originality, it makes up for it in heart. Axiom Verge starts out with a scene of a young scientist performing a dangerous experiment only to have it literally blow up in his face. Instead of dying though, he's magically transported to a bizarre new world, and here he must figure out what this place is and how to get home. Progression in the game is tied to the items you unlock. For example, you can get a lab coat that lets you teleport through walls, a drill that can break blocks, or a device that actually fires glitches. This game may appear to be something you'd play on a Super Nintendo, but don't let that fool you. Axiom Verge is a cutting-edge masterpiece. Number 3. Tearaway Unfolded. I really respect a game that's willing to do something different, to try something that no one else can do. At its core, Tearaway is a solid platformer, but more than that, it's a game that manages to pull off a genuine sense of adventure. Our little character is a living envelope carrying a message that needs to be delivered to the real world. It's our job to take control of him and guide him safely through this crazy paper land. Along the way, the game will do small things to toy with your perceptions of everything around you. Towards the beginning, most problems can be solved with just a few simple jumps or by tapping the touchpad to open up a puzzle box. After a bit, new mechanics are introduced that add cool extra dimensions to the world. For example, at one point I had to shine my controller's light at the screen to act as a spotlight to set off an alarm. It was a moment that shocked me because for a second I felt like I was really getting to reach into the world and help my hero out. It's rare that something can catch me so off guard, but that's what Tearaway is all about. It's a game where you truly have no idea what's coming next. Number 2. Shadow Warrior. Meet Lo Wang, a poorly named man who just received the painful task of finding an ancient sword and slamming shut the gates of hell. Doing this is going to require a lot of blood, sweat, and bad jokes. Shadow Warrior almost feels like Doom if it were remade by people who wanted to turn into a cheesy 90s movie. Monsters are all twisted freaks. The story is played out in comic book style cutscenes, and points keep popping up in the air to remind you that we're getting karma for our carnage. All of this would be enjoyable on its own, but when you combine it with the superb mix of violent swordplay and giant guns, it becomes something more. Shadow Warrior invites you into a gorgeous, screwed up world and sets loose the worst nightmares imaginable. What sticks out the most to me when playing it is the diverse settings. For one segment, you could be sneaking through a quiet Japanese temple that looks so real you can almost smell the candles, and only seconds later be thrown into a pitch-black dungeon. No matter where you're dropped though, you better stay alert and keep your finger on the trigger. Number 1. Divinity Original Sin Enhanced Edition. Imagine a deep, rich RPG that you can spend hundreds of hours in and still not even be halfway done. Sound impossible? Then you've never tried Divinity: Original Sin. This is a game with a basic premise that is executed wonderfully. It's an old school style RPG that's streamlined for modern gamers. The perfection in Original Sin comes from the choices that were given. If you want, there's a lot of history to explore. If you're hungry for some experience, you can pick up a quest in town and go hunt down some monsters. Maybe you're the kind of person who just wants to craft the ultimate set of gear. Even that is doable. The depth of every bit of content is just breathtaking. Anything you could want to do in a role-playing game is here, and strangely, almost no mainstream sites ever talk about how incredible this title is. And for that reason, I'm awarding it my pick as the absolute must-play PS4 hidden gem. Did your favorite game not make the list? Got an idea for a future top 10? Leave it in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. Now, if you excuse me, I'm gonna go slay some demons. I just hit my desk. That made me look like such a nerd. Well, I guess I'm holding a sword. That also makes me look like a nerd. What am I doing? Thanks so much for watching. If you liked this video, maybe check out my last video. Please subscribe, and if you want, share this somewhere with your friends.